Hey guys, welcome to the Fair Haired Trilogy. This is our very first video. We are so happy that you're tuning in with us today. Today we are doing a discussion on Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. We all read this book together and we thought that we would start a channel about our book discussions because they are awesome.
Favorite characters?
Favorite characters.
Yeah, I really like Errol Fane.
No, that was mine.
He was so cool. I don't know, I just, you start out the story and it's like Laszlo talks about him as some very like grand hero and he's very idealized in Laszlo's mind. And then he actually gets to meet him and we actually get to see his life and kind of all of his past demons that he's struggling with and the experiences that he's had, and he kind of really humanizes him, and so he was my favorite character.
So we've talked about this a lot before, but I think that the Godslayer, Errol Fane, was a perfect depiction of both good and bad.
Yeah.
Because no one person is 100% good and 100% bad. Like, we all are kind of like a mix of things.
And I think that's like my marker of a really well-rounded character is like you can't necessarily say everything that they do is good and everything they do is bad. It's not just one or the other. It's that combination.
Right. He was also one of my favorite characters. And one of my favorite quotes is, "A hero, a butcher, did they cancel each other out, or would butcher always trump hero?" And I thought that was a really good. I never thought of Errol Fane as a villain, though. Interestingly enough.
Even
in Surprise?
Killing babies?
Even after, I know, and I'm always, I really love justice and everything like that. But I think that she did a great job of depicting his remorse, but I also think that she did a good job of bringing him in a good light at the beginning, and so we got to see his good.
Ew, he was like famous.
Instead of
because
immediately finding out that he,
Yeah, because like him doing all the things that he did was not painted as like, oh, some monster. It was like, oh, the hero who like, won us our freedom, and so even from the beginning, he wasn't really painted that way.
But this was a good one, too. When him and Azarine.
They were so cool.
When she said in here that Sarai's moths were out and she was spying on them, and he was in one room and then the door was shut and she was in the other, and she said, why not open the door and open their arms and close them again around each other? Did they not understand how in the strange chemistry of human emotion his suffering and hers mingled together could countervail each other? I thought that was like, yes, like, don't you know that like if you just embrace.
That was
very beautifully sad, heartbreaking.
On the same note as that, I wish that she would have gone into more detail about why he was so broken towards Azarine. Because it didn't make sense to me why.
They said a little bit. Is a goal
had taken
him
so
like
much.
He could not love anymore
or cry or do anything like that, but I still think that was probably my least favorite thing about him.
Really?
Besides the baby killing, because I am not
I'm gonna get that out of there.
But I think that was one thing that was just the thing that I didn't like about him, was that he couldn't
get past that.
He couldn't get past it when he knew that his wife needed him and still loved him. And I thought that was a bit heartbreaking. That was a real love story.
Callie never likes the victim. That's never her thing. Anyone who plays to the victim mentality. Well, I think the idea of like after he went through what he went through, he was still in that mindset of, I'm a victim of what has happened, rather than I'm going to choose to.
Or he has a mental PTSD.
Yeah, that's true too.
Right, and I mean, that's fair. Another one of my favorite characters was Nero. I really loved him. Yeah, I really loved him.
See, he was like my least favorite character out of like all of them.
I know, it's so crazy. I don't know why I liked him.
Were you not pissed off at him when he took that language of weep and he was like, I know all about you, and the Godslayer's like, nobody knows my language, oh my gosh, and he's like, da 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 da.
But there wasn't an injustice. There was never because Laszlo then was able to converse, like he really stepped in there. It would have been an injustice if he would have taken it and then nothing would have been given to Laszlo in return. But as soon as he kind of like spoke a little bit, I was like, oh, you are dirty for that. But I don't know. I kind of liked him in the end.
So why?
Why did I like him?
Just because he was a pretty boy?
Well, I think because like I really liked him in the beginning. Like I thought it was gonna be such a cool like love to hate type villain. You know, he's really cocky, but I was kind of disappointed because like she makes him such a big character in the beginning, right? He has that really cool entrance, and he kind of shows up Laszlo, the golden god son, and
godson,
so it was. I like really liked him in the beginning, but then I just kind of feel like she didn't really give him the time of day, like in the middle. And then he just kind of shows up again more towards the end and, like, figures out the, you know, science stuff that they're doing. And so I just wanted to see more of him. I thought he was a cool character and he didn't end up being so important.
I think I liked him because he wasn't a victim.
I was just going to say, did he play the victim a little bit,
No.
though? No. I guess in a different way. Listen, this was him in my perspective, was that he would bleed himself dry.
Yes.
Just to...
That's very true.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like, he, like, had
he
no
cared
respect
so
for
much.
himself. Or, like, care for himself. He just needed to make the gold for his abusive dad and the queen. And then he needed to be the one that saves the day, and he was going to die trying. I don't know.
And we also haven't read the second one, so maybe there's more of him.
That's
in
true.
The second one, because that probably is going to come full circle, like how important all of that background is to the story.
That's true.
Do you want to talk about how this ended?
Major cliffhanger.
Oh, why?
Frustrated me.
So we did talk a little bit about this before filming. And you said that it felt like it stopped in the middle of the book.
Yeah, I just feel like it ended kind of in the middle of the climax and everything you wanted to be resolved.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
I'm going to segue from what you said about Thyron not being important in the middle and then coming back at the end. I feel like that happened with all the characters towards the middle because we get this huge build up and Laszlo has like found this mysterious, it would be like if one day I got a Hogwarts letter, you know, like this place exists, like I've waited my whole life, and then we get there and he walks around in the street for a little bit, then he falls in love and like nothing else matters or happens in the middle of the book. So all these other characters I feel like get like pushed to the side, and then all of a sudden like we're supposed to love them again in the last like few chapters, and I was like, I wanted more of the city. I wanted more of what all of the inventors were doing.
Yeah.
But here's the thing is I liked when he had the blood sugar candy. And then it was terrible.
Yeah.
I liked that.
Yeah.
Because he got to try it.
Yes.
You know, like he actually got to experience that. And I thought that was a beautiful thing that he had grown up wishing that this world was real. And he worked so hard learning about it. It was real. They do this journey. We get there. And then he buys clothes and then...
And that's
and then we don't get anything else about the city.
Cool down, you know.
I really was looking forward to the adventure of it all.
We haven't really talked about the Citadel. Man, I love that.
I
actually
that was really cool.
Love that she split that up in a different perspective. I was wary of it in the beginning.
I thought it was a really drastic, like, oh, new perspective, new people, you don't know what's going on, but then it came together really well.
Yes, it did.
I loved in that first scene where it was Sarai's perspective, and you're reading and reading. I can't even remember what the scene was really about, but you're reading and reading and reading, and then like at the very end, she like put it in there, like that they're blue.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just like they're blue, and you're imagining I imagined them normal until she like threw it in there like flag eye. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What? I love that. I loved how she described everything that they had done, and like they ran out of birthday cake material, and then like the door kind of shut, and only Mina was allowed to, like she could only go through.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was so cool. Let's go with what you said about Minya being the change in her form.
Yeah, I think she could come back as a fire-breathing dragon. She would. I think also though that she is stuck in that body like on purpose to remind them all of that day.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, like the mentality of staying like, oh, in that moment, like this was such a crazy thing to have happen, right? Such a traumatic thing that she experienced, and she wants them all to remember this is what they do.
Yeah.
So that she can keep them kind of manipulated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is Minion the villain of this book?
Yes.
Okay.
And a victim.
Okay.
And a victim.
But the mark of a true villain is that she's a hero in her own story. And was Minya a hero in her own story?
I think if I read a novel with her as the protagonist, I would think she's like the
saved
bomb.
those babies. She was 6 years old.
Yeah, no. That was my hardest thing to get past with her because I could not stand her. Victim. And then when
victim, or was she just angry?
she was victim, she was angry, she was bitter, she just couldn't let it go. All the
Can
rest
you
of
just-
them did.
What is it? What is the definition of a victim? Am I getting this wrong? What is it? What is a victim do?
I mean victim mentality, not like an actual victim.
Okay.
Because she was a
probably should
victim
change my
of the trauma she experienced.
Correct.
But victim mentality is, I'm not going to move on from what I experienced.
Okay.
I'm going to choose to remain bitter and in the past rather than to make the best of whatever future I have moving forward.
Which,
Yes.
exactly. Which
Okay.
is fine if that's how people want to be.
Mm.
But when it becomes negative and destructive to everyone around them,
It
I
made
think
her a
that's
villain.
when it becomes a problem. And I think that her redeeming thing was she went in that room that only she could go to. Her little legs were swinging, and she said, "It's all I could carry. It's all I could carry. It's all you could save," or whatever she said. And she was just repeating it to herself. So she had held on to that for so long, and that's 15 years is a long time to hold on to things.
Yeah.
And to feel regret for that, so.
When she said in that fight with Sarai, I should have chosen another baby.
It was almost like and that's what I'm talking about.
That was
She had held on to that for years, and she was waiting until someone did something so she could throw that in their face.
And it's very similar to when she had to convince Sarai to use her power and to not hold back. It was like, I saved you. Like, this is almost like what you owe me. Yeah, you owe me your power because I allowed you to live. I chose you. So, that was a really...
And I just wonder what would have happened if Sarai had taken her power and planted seeds of, like, we're good.
Yeah.
Like, look to the Citadel.
I think they almost mentioned, don't they mention that? I think they mentioned, like, oh, what would have happened if that's the way she had used her
but
power?
instead they all, like, look up and, like, they don't even look at it. They shudder under it, you know?
It probably would not have taken long at all for it to be like, the Citadel, ooh, cool. Like, I wonder what's up there, you know?
Right?
They would have started dreaming.
Yeah.
Or, what would have happened if she would have taken all those molds and gotten a packet of seeds?
You said that to me. I laughed so hard. I was like, yeah, there you go.
Or a little bag of sugar.
Yeah.
And had a birthday cake.
There you go. That's probably, I will give it to Laini Taylor. I think that's the only hole in her
Right,
story.
A little bit of a plot hole, yeah.
Legitimately.
But that's the only one. So, you know.
If a packet of seeds is your only plot hole, that's...
Yes. Bravo
That's
to
a good
this
job.
author.
We're ready to talk about this love story.
This is a discussion question. Why do you think Laszlo and Sarai fell in love so quickly? Because it was a little insta-love.
I think it was because they met in dreams and they didn't really realize that they were even truly talking to one another. They thought it was all, or Laszlo did, I guess.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I think that's a very intimate way to begin to get to know somebody.
Yes.
Is their dreams. So
I have a quote.
Go for it.
It says, his mind had touched her mind, and that seemed to him a deeper reality and even greater intimacy.
yes.
So I will say that anyone can get naked and do the deed, but it's really much deeper to be vulnerable and to be inside someone's mind. And that's why I think they fell in love so easy. What do you think?
I like that opinion. But then we see the other side of it when they just had a physical relationship between
Ruby
Farrell
and Farrell.
and Ruby, yeah.
and they fell in love too.
They didn't fall in love.
I think they did.
But
It hinted towards that. Not like these two. So that's why I think that you're
No,
right
but
about
it didn't hint at the end.
It said something to the effect of,
Farrell
she
was
wishes, or I think it said Ruby, like, that she wishes Farrell would only look for her, like, only want her.
Ruby said, if it were to be you at the door, Sparrow, he would have taken you. And then Sparrow said, "What? I don't want him if that's the way it's going to be." And then Ruby said, "Oh yeah." That's how it was. It was
But
like,
when the
yeah.
Citadel tipped over, he woke up and the first thing he thought about was Ruby.
Because he was in her bed.
I think he missed her.
Let's agree to disagree, and let's see at the new book. I think it was all...
I was just going to say, the next book, I mean, probably will have a lot more.
Yeah,
so.
I think it was all fleshly, just...
And I mean, they're literally, like, the only people in the world types.
And Ruby was like, come on! Like, she was like...
Yeah, but I think that for Ruby, maybe that is all she needed to fall in love. But I think that Laszlo and Sarai needed something else. I think that they were more like, not intellectual, because, you know, there's varying levels
No, but that
of
does make sense, because she describes Ruby as, like, a classic teenager, right? Like, not very, like, intellectual, like you said, not very mature. It's just
mature.
It's just not very mature. Like, Sarai was much more mature, even though they were the same age. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I do see what you're saying there.
But I do think that you're right. I just wanted to throw in another option there, but I do think that you're right that they fell in love so quickly because they only had each other's minds.
Yeah, and I think also that if she had been able to be seen in another boy's mind from Leap, that they would have fallen in love.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Laszlo is special. Like, his dreams were incredible. But she would have fallen in love with another boy's dreams that was mediocre just because she was seen. She had been invisible for so long. And that's what I think.
But then...
He does show her the library and all of the
it was incredible.
Beautiful stuff. It was beautiful.
But just
the second she went in Nero's dream, she was like, I'm getting out of here.
But what if Nero had seen her?
In his stuffy, claustrophobic
but she
dream?
was seen.
No, I do think there's a lot to be said about her being seen.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like what we all want.
Yeah,
just all to be seen.
Like, put yourself in Sarai's position. She's been locked up there, and a boy can see her now and touch. They felt in the hands. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Twilight, when Edward couldn't get into Bella's mind, I feel like that was the opposite of what happened to Sarai. You get what I'm saying? And that was why he went after Bella. I can see into everybody else's mind, but not you. I'm gonna go after you and figure you out.
It's like that one intriguing thing.
Exactly.
Even though that person may not be like...
Right, Bella was just like...
Yeah.
Bella. Mediocre. To me, I guess.
Is that not the same thing that Ruby said to Sparrow? About Farrell then?
Yeah.
You would have knocked.
Yeah, you would have knocked.
I think they'll end up falling. I think that it will be a little bit of a love triangle.
Really? Sparrow was like, I don't want him.
I think he's gonna notice that.
She obviously did, though. Like, from the very beginning, though.
But will it change as they get off of the Citadel? And I mean, we don't know what happens, but if they are introduced back into society, will they be
now that there are more people, maybe they'll fall in love with somebody else.
And will they be worshipped?
And then Farrell will be like, oh no, I lost my chance.
Right?
Yeah, what?
I don't know.
It's gonna happen when they get all, I know, I'm really excited about that.
I can't wait to do another review of that.
I know, that's gonna be really exciting. Is it a 2-book series?
I think it's a duology,
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be so good.
Muse of Nightmares.
I'm so excited.
Do you think that Sarai can use her gift as a ghost?
Do I think? Yes, and I think that Minya's going to be able to control her.
Control her moths?
Yeah, I thought she was going to kill her the whole time.
What do you mean?
I thought that
be the reason why she fell.
Yes, I thought she was going to push her off of the balcony.
For a second there, I thought it was going to be Minya, that they were going to have to murder her to stop her from her whole plan.
Yes.
Like, for a second there, I was like, and it's going to be Minya, but no.
I do think she might be able to control the moths, or control Sarai and make her kill people, or give them nightmares. So
I saw that scene like a movie when she went to Laszlo, and then Minya's voice came out, like, oh my god, she like rigid, and I was like,
I know. I really thought she was gonna be a good person. Like, I really thought she was gonna redeem herself.
She can't move past it. Maybe she's stuck truly as a 6-year-old.
So that's a good question. What do you think is like her ultimate goal? Like, what do you think she wants to accomplish?
I think she wants to be like the old gods.
I think she wants to kill them all. You know, that's
I mean, she doesn't want praise. She just wants, like she just
vengeance.
wants vengeance.
Yeah. What an awful way to live.
I know. Favorite quote.
I can't find my favorite quote. This book is so big.
I would say there are a lot of great quotes, but beautiful and full of monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Simple. Yes. That's like the tagline. That's like the memorable one. And I think it sums up all of the
memorable one for you?
Well, I just mean like tattoos. Like people get that on tattoos and stuff. Like memorable for the whole series.
Mine is the dream chooses the dreamer. Is that what it is? Oh my gosh, I feel that one down into my bones. Like sometimes it's like you have these dreams and you're like, why? But it's like they choose you. You can't let go, you know?
I think my favorite, and I actually did this when I read it, was few will ever witness an act destined to become a legend. And I thought that was amazing. And it just stood out to me. And it was when Laszlo made all of the stuff come alive, and it basically says that they didn't think that it was a great thing, but that it actually was. And I just thought that was a really cool quote.
So he's the son of Bacchus?
I love that they were siblings. Because I was saying to myself the whole time, he's got to be a sibling of somebody. Who is it going to be?
I was before you knew?
I hope it's not Sarai. Oh no! Yeah, but when it was Minya, I was like, oh my goodness. That was really cool.
So they mentioned that there was thousands of babies.
Yes, okay.
Where were the babies? Because Laszlo ended up miles away.
I think that's going to come back to be a really good thing, like in the world, because it's like all of the humans are going to see like, oh, there's been thousands of them living among us and we just didn't know. They're not bad, you know? So it might come back to be a benefit.
Yeah.
And how did they like change from blue to?
It must,
And how
it must be the reaction to the Azov, like, because it wasn't until he got in contact with that stuff.
No, the mesothin.
When he came in contact with it, it reacted to him, and I think that he reacted to it as well, and that's what changed him. It's like, oh, he, turned blue because he developed his power, all of that stuff. I think that if you got all those other thousands of people to the Citadel and like did the same thing he did, I think that they would turn blue, and you would know.
Well, and remember, they intentionally put Laszlo somewhere because Minya remembered them finding a baby that had the same power and could control the metal.
What?
Yeah, she remembered that one of the caretakers in the nursery, because they tested them. And she remembered that one of them reacted to the mesotherium, and they took him away.
I didn't even
never
remember
saw
that.
him again. And it was Laszlo. We would assume.
And then they decided to put him in an orphanage.
I know. I'm like, okay.
Weird.
But maybe that's why. Maybe he just felt a calling to the City of Wheat too. Now that I think about it, I didn't even think about that.
He was obsessed.
Because
he knew.
What did you guys think about the symbolism of blue? That was one of the discussion questions that I really liked.
No, I'm going to be honest with you.
Nothing?
I have no idea.
So
except for that there's a god in another religion that has blue skin.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What religion is that? My favorite quote, because I happen to love the victim
mentality.
Yeah.
Not victim.
This was right after Laszlo became blue and saved everybody. Laszlo looked at the Godslayer, Errolfane. He looked at him right in the eyes and saw a man who was great and good and human, who had done extraordinary things and terrible things and been broken and reassembled as a shell, only then to do the bravest thing of all. He had kept on living, though there are easier paths to take.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I agree that Errolfane is actually an incredible, I think he is good and great. I don't think he treated his wife right, and vice versa. I don't think she treated him. I think that they should have gone to each other. Like,
what if Issaquah really did something truly,
mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like,
like
trapping Minya in a body that she couldn't change. We don't know.
Right.
What if she really honestly took the ability to love, the ability to cry?
It could be that.
Because then it's not really his controlling.
His fault. Yeah, you're right.
And that's what I was going to
Which
say.
it wouldn't have been his fault anyway, because being kidnapped and being raped is
and that's what I was
absolutely
gonna
traumatic.
say. Like, in the beginning, it was like, oh, he was captured, he was forced to do things he didn't want to do, but then you see kind of that flash of it, and it's like, no, he was laughing, he was in love with her, like, she honestly controlled his mind, and so there might be effects that lasted. Maybe she took away that love that he had for his wife. You know, you don't really know. Right. So maybe they'll talk more about that in the second.
I know, but she loved him though. She was right there.
She did. I know. That one's a heartbreaking love story.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, that's a really good love story.
We know that she had a baby, but we don't know who the baby is. Do you think it's Beryl or Ruby or Sparrow?
Oh, very interesting. You're so right.
They alluded to the fact that she had a baby or multiple babies. Who knows?
Right.
And
she remembers, correct? Is she one of the ones that remembers?
Yeah. Yeah?
Does she?
I think
Errol Fane remembers, right? Everything. Because
I can't remember, but they didn't tell us if she did.
Well, they absolutely did say that her tattoo was
that it was stretched
from a pregnancy. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't remember if she was returned before he killed the gods.
Those two lines where it was, I forgot what it said exactly, but it was like, Thackus, right? Mm-hmm. Thackus at your door, taking your daughter away.
Oh.
Thackus at your door, bringing her back. And it was like, those, the space in between the lines where there's nothing written, but it's like, like she really honestly created a great, like, killing babies and like sexual assault, like those are
she did it in such a like tactful and creative way though.
Yes.
Like really
it was
well.
Beautifully written.
Yeah, it really was.
Yes. It was a beautifully written book. And I will say that all of her characters have very, like, some redeeming qualities. Like, every single one of them has at least one if they are presented as a villain.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I do appreciate that too.
This part where Laszlo saved the day and the Godslayer came forward and said, like, we're in your debt.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that the Godslayer is like a god to the people.
Mm-hmm.
And then in this next book, it's going to be totally, like, forgiven, these blue people. And it's just going to be Minya. I think that because the Godslayer came up to him and was like, thank you, like, we're in your debt, I think that people were watching that and they were like, oh, you approve? Okay.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
You got that endorsement.
Right. And then now it's not even going to be, like, it's going to be, well, that's weird, but I don't think that, you remember how Sarai was like, you don't understand, they're going to kill me on sight. Like,
right.
if I go
They'll
down
never
there.
change,
Yeah, like, I think that, like, just by that simple endorsement, that this next book is purely going to be Minya or some other villain even, or like Minya turning into a fire-breathing dragon.
I just wonder if maybe she has, I don't think that she kept one of the gods' ghosts, and she's has it hidden somewhere.
The fact that she could do, like, you don't find that out until later, and I'm like,
but it said in the book that she wished
why would she
could.
not have captured one of the gods?
It said that. She said, because I was too busy getting you. You remember? She was like, I was too busy saving you.
Okay.
And they alluded, they also said, she said, what destruction I could do then.
Right. So she can control them.
So she can control their power.
She probably can control Sarai's power. You're right. So then
that's gonna be a mess.
So then she can control the public opinion.
She's so
because
evil.
if she has Sarai's power, she's gonna really give them nightmares
and manipulate in a whole bunch of ways.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to read that.
I know, me too. Did you think there was ever like a second when Errol Finn was not gonna like shake his hand and say thank you?
I actually didn't, because they had been like, they had really earned each other's respect before then. And so I think when you get to that point, it's like, I mean, even though you see him in a new way, it's like, that's Laszlo. That's like dorky Laszlo that I found hunched over a book in a library. You know, it's like I know that even though didn't realize his history, that he's still, you know, who I learned him to be, and that's why I think all the public opinion will be changed, because they're going to realize they're not all evil, you know.
And I think that that's the same as Laszlo with Errol Fane
too.
That once he found out, and I think that had a lot to do with how Errol Fane welcomed Laszlo, even though he was different, because Laszlo was like, okay, you know, you made this decision, like you made the decision about the babies in the nursery, and that's just something that you had to do. Like you didn't, it doesn't define who you are. You know, it's just, I know you carry that burden, so I think that had something to do with it too.
Do you think that Laszlo and Sarai are going to still, like, be a romantic thing in the next book?
I mean, she's dead.
She's dead.
I don't know how that can work.
She's dead and he's a god.
Can she? I wonder if there's some way
To put her
her
soul
ghost
back.
can go back in a body. I
It
don't
has
know.
to be quick though, because when her body started to deteriorate.
There are rules in worlds, you know?
It seems like they can
Oh,
still
you're right.
like touch though.
Yeah, they
Right?
have.
Like they can, like even with the other ghosts, like with Ruby, you know, and the other, and like you can still like touch. You can still
well,
they
the
like
caregiver.
they like
Less Ellen
feed
and-
them and they so.
But then
What-
some of
what
them
makes
went
it so
through.
different? Yeah.
So I think that
so
that's all
maybe
Minya.
it's when Minya lets her go.
Yeah.
So do you want her to be let go? Because letting go and being free from Minya means she's not going to be there anymore.
I think it's going to be a tragedy, and I think he is going to have to kill Minya and know that he has to let Sarai go.
I think,
Yeah, like killing
I
Minya
think-
would equal letting Sarai go.
I think that that's what's going to happen.
I
I'm
am
being
not
honest.
fully invested in this love story with Laszlo and Sarai. I think that she should be let go. Let her rest. She's had a hard life, you know, and that Minya should die, and that Laszlo should get another girl. It's fine.
Oh man, people are going to hate me about what I'm about to say. You know I'm anti-tragedy,
You know, I love tragedy.
anti-victim mentality, but I'm with you. I'm not completely invested in this love story, and I don't know if it's because she started out and she was dead. She was lovely and surprised and dead. So we have a couple of discussion questions that we like.
At the end of the book, what monsters still need to be conquered to reach a harmonious end? In real life, is a harmonious end even possible? It was a two-part question, so I don't know. You know, what monsters still need to be conquered? In my head, it's just Minya.
Me too.
And I would say Minya and the public perception.
Which I think is already dead.
Really?
Because the Godslayer was like, boom, thank you, we're in your debt.
Unless something happens that changes
I
his
think that.
Unless Minya.
mind.
Oh
Right.
well,
You know.
there you go. Minya with Sarai's dreams could kind of.
Or Minya's just gonna come down being blue, like this blue little toddler.
And then
Just kidding. And then just wreak havoc,
Right.
and then everyone's gonna be like, oh,
Right.
they can
That
never
will happen
change.
too.
Girl thing, you need to help us out again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can there be a harmonious end? I think if he lets Sarai go, if they kill Minya and he lets Sarai go.
The question was, in real life,
In real life.
is a harmonious end even possible?
Ooh, in real life. Yeah.
Really? But isn't it just possible for like a little time, and then something new comes up?
Nah.
Really?
Yeah, I think it all ends up okay.
Like when you die?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
When you die, it doesn't matter.
Don't worry, one day we'll all die.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, I agree with that. But I'm talking about like, you know, when there's an issue and then it's resolved and there's a harmonious end.
Just until the next bad
Just
thing.
until the next thing.
In the book, though, I think that it'll all wrap up. Or it won't.
So Laszlo spends his childhood and adolescence with his nose in books. How does Laszlo's life in books prepare him for his extraordinary journey in the world outside of the library?
First of all, I loved the library. I loved that
Yeah.
he found the library and the library accepted him. And then when that guy said, once the library claims somebody, we don't make them go back. And I
It
love
was
that.
a being.
It was.
Yeah.
It was just part of who he is.
Mhm.
And I like that she wrote that in.
I've noticed that a lot of authors write about libraries.
Yeah, well that makes
I have
sense.
to.
I read a lot about libraries in my book, so.
Right.
Sarah J. Maas,
Yeah.
the libraries in her
Yes.
series.
But I think that helps us connect to the characters too.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we
Anytime.
obviously love books as a
Right.
reader.
And I think Laszlo being an orphan too was kind of something he latched onto, that
Mhm.
companionship that he didn't get from like
Right,
a family that
exactly.
he would have had too. So.
The loneliness, the
Yeah.
void that he felt.
Mm-hmm.
he'd be filled with all the city of wheat.
Yeah.
And obviously all that preparation was good because he ended up going to the city of wheat.
It definitely gave him a one-up to be able to know the language and the culture, you know what I mean? Even though it was destroyed kind of when they went, and Citadel was, I don't know, when he had that conversation when Errol Fane was on the horse.
Yes.
And he was like rough with it because you know, obviously he had to like decode, but that gave him like such a one-up. And Thyron Nero was like twitching. You remember? He was like, "What are you saying?"
Yes.
Because he only had learned like hello and goodbye or whatever. That was incredible.
I loved that. I loved that she used language in a way that was realistic.
Yeah.
Because I think that a lot of times that's something that's skipped over, and he would have never. Sarai would have not been able to understand him, and he wouldn't have been able to understand her. And so, because she was confused about everyone else.
Right.
And so I thought that that was a beautiful tie-in, that he understood the language and that kind of thing too.
Yeah, I agree. Did they ever write an actual word in the language?
I think in the second one, because there's an alphabet in the second one. I've looked in it, and I've seen people get tattoos of beautiful and full monsters in the Weeps language.
What?
Yeah, it's really cool.
That is.
You should look at her Instagram page. It's really cool.
That is actually cool.
I think it's really cool that Laini Taylor has bright pink fuchsia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, me too.
And then Holly Black, which is like one of her good friends, has bright blue hair, so they're on panels together, like pink and blue.
I think it reminds me
awesome.
of the people from the Capitol in the Hunger Games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're like slowly getting there. I don't know if you're like looking around.
Yeah.
I know. I felt that too.
Just give it another 100 years and it's gonna
Yeah.
be gold tinted eyelashes and like
Definitely not a Hunger Games situation, but
Right.
Okay, so we had one more, and it was about the real world, like relating to the real world.
Did you read this first chapter?
No.
Brand new characters. I'm like, what?
I can't do one more.
can't handle it.
Where am I? Here we go. Oh yeah. What parallels can you make between things that happen in the novel and things happening in the world today?
It's very common in the real world today that people are judged by their ancestry or maybe the decisions that people generations before them have made that they don't necessarily make themselves, but they're still facing those repercussions. So I think that, you know, Sarai and Pharaoh and all of them didn't do the horrible things that their parents did, but they're still being judged for those things and, you know, treated poorly because of what their parents did. So I think that happens in the real world as well.
That's good.
That
I was
is good.
taking it very literally with we still have incredible prejudice against other skin colors.
Oh, well, that too.
They're blue,
That's the
and then
same,
we
yeah.
have Asian and Indian and African American.
Right. Same
People
thing.
immediately will be like, "Oh, you're blue. You must be destructive," and
Exactly,
you know,
yeah.
But that's good too.
Just started thinking about something. You have to tell us what it was.
Why are you laughing?
That one peeling so bad, and I was like, and that's me. If I had to go through the day.
That's so random.
Why does everybody else look so good? Because I was like, oh, and she talks about different skin tones, and then I thought about that.
Oh, man.
Which? Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I will try not to do that again. Okay.
You made me ruined.
I know.
You made me ruined.
I need it.
Look, low battery.
Okay, let's go.
Hurry. Okay. But even, like, if you come from...
I don't know.
Okay.
Do you really need to say
No,
that?
I guess not. I was just gonna say, like, even if you come... Just forget it.
Just
Never mind.
And then it's just cut it. I'm gonna round it out. It's just gonna be that.
I was just gonna say, like, your profession, like, if you come from a family like doctors or like
Right.
bakers, right? It's like the decisions that your parents make, like you gain a perception just from where you're born into, right? That's all.
Exactly.
That's all I was gonna say. Okay.
You guys, we really hope that you liked this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss another video. Like this video, give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to leave us a comment if you have read this book and what you liked, didn't like. Have a discussion with us. We're uploading on every Wednesday, so please stay tuned for new book reviews coming soon.